It was during a particularly brutal thunderstorm back in December 2011 that the old fishing vessel, the MV Dayspring, slipped on moorings and drifted aimlessly for a while, before eventually washing ashore in the shingle beaches just to the south of Corpach. Settling just below the high tide line, she's still legally classified as afloat and has remained there ever since. Initially acting as a magnet for vandals and thieves, most of our expensive equipment was stripped within a few days, but in latter years she's become more of a magnet for landscape photographers. Which is, yeah, that's why I'm here. The village of Corpach lies just to the north of Fort William. It is the western sea entrance to the Caledonian Canal, and it is just to the south of the famous series of locks known as Neptune's Staircase that the ship finally came to rest. My first view of the wreck came after I'd crossed the canal and got down onto the foreshore. As you can see, I was still quite a distance away, but rather than rush up, what I did was I put on a telephoto lens and made use of that property that seems to compress distance, and took a couple of shots, again quite kind of cliched shots I guess, but they really put the wreck into perspective with Ben Nevis in the background, and by keeping the distance away and using the telephoto lens you can really compress that distance, and it looks a lot closer than it really is. Scene of this shipwreck, which is a wee bit different from the vast majority of the others. So of course I'm about to copy that, and that is there's a small stream, bottom if you like, just running down from the left of the image into the loch there, and if you get the angles right you can include that in the image as well. So I'm going to have a go at that. The light's just starting to break through. It's not quite burning off the mist on Ben Nevis, but it's improving the shot slightly, for what it's worth. So yeah, I've got the 10 stop grad on now, and I just made a really rookie YouTube mistake there, and as I was removing the connector for the mic from the DSLR there to connect to this little handheld camera, I did it in the middle of a 20-second exposure, so I think I've just created a very, very blurry image. But I've retaken the shot now, and it does look as if it's working. There's a lot bit of detail coming out in the sky now as well, so that's not quite as burnt out. And the clouds are starting slowly to lift up above Ben Nevis. So yeah, I think I might actually have a reasonable shot here, albeit a very cliched and much repeated image. I'll take one more shot and then I'll get my feet wet and get to the other side and get up close to the ship and see if we can get any interesting close-up kind of macro shots. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, so the weather's improving slightly, the rain's been off, the sun's come out slightly. It's giving us a wee bit of detail, so it's nice. Just take one more shot because I don't know how long it will be before I'm back here. But yeah, it's improving. It's very possible this will be the last shot that I get, because my plan is to go back via Glencoe, which is likely to be a bit of a nightmare, and rather than down Loch Lomond side and Arisig and Malig and Mora and Glenfinnan and into Corpach. It's basically just going to be a huge car park all the way down. So try to squeeze out what little enjoyment I can from my time here in Corpach and Fort William. Just before I left there, I thought I'd put on my 16 to 35mm filter, which is obviously that a wee bit wider. I'm not quite out at 16, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, I'm around about 20mm. So it's obviously wider than the previous lens, which was the 2040 105. So that little bit extra has allowed me to include the rest of this burn, this part here. And I've opened up the aperture a wee bit. It's now I think at f8. And the advantage there is I can use slightly shorter shutter speeds. I've been using 15 seconds, 8 seconds and 10 seconds to bracket, and because the ship's obviously very, very dark and the rest of the image is very, very light, so it's going to take a wee bit of blending in Photoshop to get that to look natural. But yeah, I quite like this image. Okay, so yeah, I quite like this angle. You've got these plants. I have no idea what they are. These things here, which makes for a quite nice colourful foreground interest against the really dark mountain and the grey clouds, and obviously you've got the ship there. Again, it's quite a wide dynamic range, so I've taken 3 different exposures, which I'll hopefully blend in Photoshop. It's impossible to do, and because the mountains are, it's not a regular horizon or anything like that, a graduated filter wouldn't work on this occasion. Or if it did, it would look quite unnatural, so I decided to go against that and go for a bracketing option instead. I quite like these plants. I really don't know what they are. I quite like them though, so I might play around here and see if there's any other kind of compositions. I could probably get in a little bit closer to them and maybe try and exclude a bit more of the bright sky. That might reduce the need to bracket so much. In hindsight, I think I wish I'd kind of got a bit higher, because those I still don't know, they're plant things, are blocking Ben Nevis there. So had I got a little bit higher, I would have probably been able to make out more of Ben Nevis. So that's one for the future. Going round to the other side of the ship, there's really not an awful lot in terms of background that you can make an image with, but I was kind of lucky the day that I went, because the clouds had some very interesting patterns in it, and I think that works best in black and white, so this is the shot I took. So after having a wander around for a while, I decided to get up close and see if I could grab some images, kind of almost abstract. The rusty old chain and the peeling paintwork, etc., make for some quite interesting textures. So yeah, I grabbed a few of them. So yeah, at this point I thought I'd accidentally stumbled on a metal band doing a promo shoot using the ship as a backdrop. But when I got back and had a wee look at the images, I realised that they all had the same logo on their tops, and they were actually shooting some promo stuff for a company called Braw Birds, who make bird oil here in Scotland. So yeah, check them out. If the birds that they had on them were anything to go by, the stuff was brilliant, so I might be getting some myself. Okay, so maybe it's not all bad luck today. I dropped the adapter from my microphone to this little camera, and after retracing my step,
managed to find, I think.
So with the shoot done, I decided to jump back in the car and make my way back down the road. As expected, Glencoe was unbelievably busy, as was all the parking spots at Rannochmore, and by the time I got to Loch Lomond, the traffic was so bad that I actually ended up sitting in a traffic jam for about an hour. So turns out Corpach was the only photography I managed to do on that day. I thoroughly recommend it though, if you're in the area. I'm going to go back. I think it'll look amazing in autumn, and it'll also look very, very impressive when there's some snow on the top of the mountains. So I'll be back, and I thoroughly recommend it.